Good evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Open Minds live chat show. This evening, I have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest, a wonderful man, and for the work that he's done for contactees like myself around the world. And good evening, and welcome to the UK, Les. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much, Gloria, for having me on your program tonight.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I mean, there's so much we could cover. However, Les, as we discussed, I really am interested and with Opus and what you've created and what it's done to help experiencers like myself, contactees. Not that I've obviously joined Opus, but I'm aware of the work that you've done. Could you share with the audience, what is Opus? What does it do? How far does it reach out to help experiencers and contactees?
Oh, thank you very much, Gloria. Yeah, absolutely. OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, is what OPUS stands for. I co-founded that with a doctor friend of mine back in 1994 in Northern California. And we've been helping experiencers of paranormal type events, whether it's contact or other types of paranormal experiences, getting through these experiences that can be quite traumatic. And so what we've tried to do, when we first got started, we actually had a local support groups that we supported.
Mm-hmm.
And we since then have gone globally with an online support group, which is totally confidential. If you go to our website, which is opusnetwork.org, you will see a support button at the top of the page. Mm-hmm. And you can fill that out. It's a very short little form. And we can then either put you into the support group, or if you're looking for other types of help, we have now just recently, very recently, established a group within Opus called the EST, which is the Experiencer Support Team. And these are kind of people that will do triage, if you will, and you can ask for their help. And they will contact you either via phone or email, depending upon where you're located. And this group is international. We have, as far as the support group is concerned, we have people from Greece, from the UK, South Africa, Australia, Japan. So it's really a global effort here to help people having these anomalous experiences. Mostly, as it's turned out over the years, we've been working with people that feel they've had contact with non-human intelligences. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that it could be extraterrestrial in nature, it could be interdimensional in nature, it could be time travel, it could be military involvement of some sort. But I believe that it's all the above. It's absolutely anything you can think of.
Oh, hold on, we've got a bit of an echo. Can you hear the echo? Has it gone?
Not now. Now, I guess it's okay.
It's okay. I think it does happen now and again. What really I like about this remit is you just said extraterrestrial or interdimensional. And I want to sort of hover around this for the moment, because I think that's really important that you've recognized the difference, because not many people do. Most people think that all of it is extraterrestrial. And that's a misconception in itself. And I think it limits the experience of contact with, I call them now energy personalities, okay? Personally, myself as a medium, obviously I had contact with spirit world, contact with what one is labeled extraterrestrials, the Greys, Arcturians, Mantas. However, it's only through my own personal research and talking to others, I had an understanding, because I recognized the different energies, interdimensionals, multidimensional beings. So I think that's really, really good that your group has this insight, yeah, and opens it up. So, because sometimes an experiencer, like, say, for example, let's use me, if it was interdimensional, went to certain contact groups, and I wouldn't fit in the criteria, because the experiences and the communications may be slightly different. Does this resonate with you at all?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that I found, and I know your feelings about MUFON, but for me, when I first got started in this thing, it really goes all the way back to when I was 11 years old. And I saw this object. This is when I lived in Connecticut here in the United States. And it was a oval-shaped, whitish object. It was a evening time. It was hovering over a tree, not making any noise whatsoever, and slowly drifted away. And I ran into the house, tried to get my father to come out. And when he finally came out, it was gone. And he said, well, it's probably a beacon of light reflecting off a cloud. Well, I didn't buy that. And I went to the library a few days later and picked up a few books on UFOs. And George Adamski was the big writer back in the 50s. And so I started reading all of his books. And the interesting part was that it kind of left me for quite a while until I moved out to California in 1985. And I picked up the newspaper, and Stan Freeman was going to talk at San Jose City College about UFOs and the government cover-up. And so it's like somebody threw a switch, and I said, well, I've got to go see this man. And I went expecting to see a handful of people there. The auditorium was full. And as I exited, MUFON had a table in the foyer, and they have a monthly magazine that they publish. So I decided to become a member and get the magazine. And after a while, that was not enough, and so I became a field investigator. And that's when things really started to click. I started to investigate cases that not only were sightings, but they turned out to be abduction type cases. Excuse me. This is my cold that I'm fighting with.
Yeah, I've got hay fever, blocked ears, and you got your congestion, so we can cough and splutter all. I've got a lozenge in at the moment.
I had one too. Anyway, so that started me on this path of working with these people, and they asked me if I knew of other people, and I said yes, I do. And the next thing I know, I'm facilitating a support group in San Jose, California, and that's when I started to learn so much about this phenomenon. In the beginning, my conception of what this phenomena was very narrow. But over the years, it's expanded substantially. And, from extraterrestrial to interdimensional to time travel to whatever you can possibly think of.
It happens. Can I come in there? I mean,
yeah.
I found personally as a contactee, and being of the slightly mature age that I am, dear, I found the contact modality has changed as well. Have you found this with like reports from the past, whether it's interdimensionals, ET, or anything paranormal? Have you found that at all, that the contact, I mean, there are specific contact modalities, but I don't want to say them yet. Have you found that the contact has changed, the modality of contact has changed?
I think the basics are still the same, but then there's a realm of difference there that exists. Before it was like, people on a desolate road, like Benny and Barney Hill type of case. And then, it progressed into the bedroom, and that seems to still be a very popular place for these incidents to happen.
It still happens in my bedroom, I'll have you know. Yes.
And
should I rephrase that? maybe I'll rephrase it. But has the contact modalities increased? So it's not just the bedroom. It's not just driving, on a country road. Now it's expanded. There's multiple contact modalities, including the bedroom, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, I talk about that in my book that I recently published called The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact. And in that book, I talk about the various places that this thing that can happen anywhere, anytime. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter day or night. It doesn't matter, the time of day. It just basically, you and I could be sitting here right now and we could be abducted, if you will. And we would not know a thing, and then we would be brought back sometimes within a logical time frame. Other times you may be brought back before the event.
Yeah, I mean this is what I love about what you do at Opus, is because you're taking all of this into consideration, because experiences, as you know, like we can say missing time, or it was like, was I teleported, or I've just had deja vu, I've just done this. Why am I've had it a lifelong. My deja vus are not like other deja vus. It's like something happens and then I'm about to do something, but it's like some knowing something's just happened and I'm doing it again. So going back and my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's my personal journey, is I was being redirected. Maybe I was not going to go quite the right way or at the right time, and something had to be shifted. I mean, this is what I love about what you do, that you're taking this into consideration, Les.
Yeah, the people that come to us, I mean, the online support group is incredible because these people have the ability to communicate 24/7 with one another and tell their stories and ask their questions. And I mean, it's far ranging. I mean, we have discussions that go from disasters that they feel are forthcoming, will be forthcoming soon, to certainly the types of aliens that they're dealing with and what their agendas are. I mean, it's just I have over 35,000 emails that we've collected over the years. Wow. And held confidentially. And it's very, very important that these people have this feeling that what they're dealing with and talking to people about is held confidentiality and in confidence, I should say, and that it's important that they are getting the kind of help, not just from our organization, but from one another within the group.
I think that's the most, it's within the group itself. I mean, as I told you before, I run I keep it small, Experiencers group, and it's a safe space. They have each other, they listen to each other, so they're not crazy. It's okay to share what I've just experienced. Here we go. You started me off. Stop it.
I know.
What a team. And it's that safe space. And what that does, it allows them to come to terms with their personal experience. You don't have to like experience, or you may not, but it's okay. I mean, I look at it as like when I run the group to help other experiencers, but it actually counsels me, is back at me, because I'm still an experiencer. I'm still going. I have been. All I know is experience the whole of my existence, since I've been here. So I think this is crucial to experiencer groups, but I still can't. I mean, I've tried other groups before I started my own group. I did step into groups, and I could not believe that. I've got to say, there was egos. Well, my experience was, have you experienced? My experience was, and I'm going, oh my God, do you not understand? It's not about that. It's about the individual's journey and their contact experience, their expansion of their consciousness and what happens next to, I mean, it's a paradigm shift, is it not?
Well, it is, and it's a spiritual journey.
Oh, yes.
It's absolutely a spiritual journey
Yeah.
that these people go through, because they come out the back end of this process in a very interesting and positive place. And
Yes.
we've done a recent study here called the Omega-4, the first phase of the Omega-4 study, which was a follow-on to the Omega-3 study, which we did back in 2007. Which is on our website, by the way. If you go into our documents and articles section, you can see the full report. And people go through, phases. In the beginning phase, it's quite traumatic. Then they grow to accept it, and then in the final stages, when it stops, it's almost like the Stockholm syndrome, where they wonder why it stopped. Why are they not coming anymore?
Yeah. That I've got to say, I mean, I've learned now, in my case, it never stops, but I've got to say, there was occasions way back and I went, it stopped. It is the Stockholm. Where is it? Where are my dreams? Because we used to be taught in visions. I mean, at the beginning, it was one. It was science, astrophysics. It was just everything. And I'm going, oh, where are they gone? And then I would hear someone else be having, I'm going, it's not fair. Why has it stopped? Bring it back. But this is what I touched upon earlier on. Another contact modality came through. On my journey, been there, done it and did it, I must have passed the masterclass on that section. Then it came in a different way for new experiences. I mean, it would be boring if we had the same experiences all the way through a lifetime, wouldn't it?
Sure. And it's interesting that, like 70 to 80% of the people having experiences certainly feel that in the long run they were very positive. And they're left with the message of the fact that we need to be better stewards of the planet. We need to be better to one another. We need to care about one another. I mean, these are all really positive type of statements.
I mean, I've never had what one deems a negative experience. I mean, I've had uncomfortable, and even now, I mean, like what we call on the slab, hybrid children experience that. And I think it's just my as a mother, as a human mother, I think the uncomfortableness is the fact that I love my children and I don't like not to have it. But that's a human concept, a human emotion. But I'm not traumatized in any way. I know way back when I had, I don't remember all of it because I always get blacked out. I know when I awoke from it and I come back from it, I was crying as if someone had taken my child. I was so traumatized. It was early hours of the morning. I phoned at the time one of my son-in-law's, ex-son-in-law, and I was crying. Oh my God, I never knew. So it's uncomfortable, but I've nothing traumatized. And I totally somehow understood why that type of contact and that procedure was going on, because on the other side of it, they've actually healed me. So I've got balance, and it doesn't matter if I don't comprehend all of it.
That's the thing that's so amazing about this phenomenon, because you have instances where people are healed, such as yourself, many cases that I'm familiar with. You've had cases where the opposite has happened, where people, or I shouldn't say the opposite, people have become healers through the process. And then, as far as experiences, whether positive or negative, there's still a small majority of people, like 20% or so, that are having negative experiences and continue to feel that way, and they want them to stop. And I think it boils down to who they're dealing with, or who's involved with them. Because I think just as we have good people and bad people here on this planet, we've got the same thing going on up there, or wherever up there is.
We got to have a polarity. If you're in the 3D experience, you've got to have the polarity. You have to. It has to be there. And I think what's really important that these multidimensional beings share with us. I mean, I come from my truth is self-realization, so I know who I am, even though I still play like the arsehole, if you know what I mean. I know I'm playing the role, but it's a lot of the fears. Because I've had this in my group when I started the group, a lot of the fears, I mean panic fears, is due to belief systems, concepts, ideas, religious dogma that's still in there somewhere. That, oh my God, this is a demon, this is a devil. And, you know, and we get that as a medium, you know, sometimes when I teach mediumship, I say they're not negative. They could be a spirit that has no idea it's past, for example. And it's traumatized. You're picking up that energy. It's not your energy. It's that. So there's so much you can go really down the rabbit hole with this that I think one has to take into consideration when dealing with this to help in those. You can overcome a traumatic experience. And believe it or not, it's all free choice. Everything is a free choice. There's a difference between resisting how can I put this? If, for example, I don't know, we went and had an accident and we lost all our blood, we got a choice, yeah? We can go and have a blood transfusion and an operation, it's going to be painful, or we cannot. We have a choice. I've always found I've always had a choice with these interdimensional beings, multidimensional beings. I have a knowing I have a choice. I think many don't believe they have a choice. They can choose, or they can converse with them and say, this experience is upsetting me, I'm not benefiting. Is there another way we could? So this is the area that I'm now into when I teach in my group. How does that resonate with you?
That resonates with me very, very much. I think that, you know, these incidents that people are running into, certainly their background, their upbringing. One of the things we've found is that a lot of people that are having these types of experiences have had some type of trauma in their childhood. You know, whether it's families that fight, parents that you know, don't get along. I mean, all kinds of different kinds of trauma are possible that causes them to dissociate in a certain way. And leaves them open to having these types of experiences. And I totally agree with what you just said. You know, the possibilities are endless as far as how you deal with this. A woman by the name of Ann Druffel, I don't know if you're familiar with her name, wrote a book about how to defend yourself against alien abduction. And 9 different ways that people wrote to her to tell her how they stopped them. And I recommend that to people that are having issues and want them to stop.
I mean, I'm going to jump in there.
A lot of it has to do with your mindset.
Your mindset. Yeah. I mean, I remember, I mean, obviously contact's still happening, but the other type of abduction, like, you know, on the slab, you know, all that, all the other ones, all the other, and I said, and I remember getting up one day because it's like, I said, do you know what? I've had enough. I don't even want to recall it. If it needs to be done, I've had enough. You can stop it. I do not want even the glimpse of a recall. Yeah. I'm happy to co-create and do what it needs to be done. I don't want any memory. Okay. Because I'm not going to stop what's happening because I know it. I have an awareness why it's happening. But I said, all the other ones, yes, please. And so then what happened, the contact modality, I'm sure it's still going on, I'm sure, but I really don't have that. I said, I've had enough. I'm bored of it. I've been doing this for decades. Yes.
And I think you have to have that mindset, that absolute feeling of that you don't want to remember any of that, because most people that in one hand say that they want these things to stop, but they're still curious.
They're
And
still
they still,
that is the mistake. It's called the law of attraction. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because whatever you put your attention on and you desire and you're feeding off it, it is an addiction, like the Stockholm syndrome. You're going to put it back. They work with us. It's our free will. So if you're sitting there going, I don't want, and all this and that, and you're reliving it, vroom, you're going to get it. This basic law of attraction. And I just said, I'm bored with that experience. I don't want to. If it needs to go on still after decades, do it. But I don't want to know.
You just triggered something when you said that you don't want to remember. Well, I might have said something along those lines because one of the support group meetings, I had a person in the group said, I've seen you before. I said, really? Where, at the grocery store, or the UFO conference or something? No, I saw you on board the craft. I said, really? Okay, so I kind of disregarded it, and it was a year and a half later that somebody in the group, a totally different person, said to me, I've seen you before. I said, where? UFO conference, market, somewhere? No, I saw you on board the craft. You were sitting on this bench naked and you were freaking out, and they told me to go over to you to calm you down.
Wow.
So I said, at that point, I'm going to go get regressed. And I got 3 separate regressions done, and I found nothing along the lines of interacting with non-human intelligences, but I had multiple past lives. And then somebody subsequently talked to me about the fact that, well, perhaps somehow this person tapped into a past life that you had that we perhaps might have been abducted and taken on board the craft. So, I mean, you talk about, as they say, going down the rabbit hole.
Oh my God.
Time and space just doesn't matter.
It sort of all conjunculates together. It's like, I mean, I have like a flash memory experience with them. And I remember being a small child, and it's still vivid, when you get these experiences that you do remember, that you don't forget them even with age. My memory, I can forget my kid's birthday, their names even, but this you don't. And I remember we was on a craft, and I can see it now, I'm in it now, and we were doing telekinesis, everything, levitating these bricks, wooden bricks, and I see the other children, and we were all practicing this skill set. And I've always thought, I don't really want to ever meet them. Thank you very much. I don't think they would serve me. And I don't really want anyone to spot me. I'm not interested in it. So I've already put that out there. I mean, I must admit, there was one person, I kept going, no, don't even go there. It might be my ego. I don't know. But, for me, I mean, for someone else's personal journey, spiritual journey, it may be important that they have that. But I think, when you realize you have personal choice, you can control this experience to whatever degree. I don't want to wipe it out. I'm actually loving it. I was born into it, and I've never been without it. So I can't be anything other than this experience. However, there's massive control on how you experience it you can have. So I think maybe you decide, I don't want to remember that. I'm just
it's probably
who wants to remember being butt naked screaming on a Well, there's another thing I also bring in when people talk about this and they go, oh, it's horrible. I say, do you ever go, in this reality, do you ever go and have an operation? You're butt naked. Have you ever gone to the dentist? Me, I've had 2 emergency cesareans. Do you know what that's like? And they forget that there's an analogy of human experience. It's no different. You're going to have a medical procedure you're going to have. There's no difference.
Right.
So, I mean, but that's just my perception. So I'm not being blasé, but that's how I perceive it. It's part and parcel of the co-creation between us and them.
Yeah, and I think that this topic is starting to be looked at more seriously by the scientific community. I mean, here in the United States now, the Congress has decided that they're going to take a look at the UAP phenomena more seriously. and I think the next step beyond that is certainly then working with experiencers and understanding what they're going through.
Yeah.
And I believe that they're already doing it, but they're just not saying anything about it, because I know for sure that one of the people, Terry Lovelace, I think he's been on your show. I don't know.
Not my show. He hasn't been on my
But
show.
he's an experiencer. He was in the Air Force and had an abduction with a friend of his that was also in the Air Force at the time, and he's now an advisor on our advisory board. And he was interrogated by the military, big time. And so, you know, that information is going up the pipeline, and so they're aware of this. They're certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. I mean, I've had the wonderful Mary Rodwell on my show a few times, and it was a couple of years ago, the first time she was on, and I was, you know, talking to her, and I was saying, I do remember being a small child back in the day, and this is how I know they've always kept tabs on us. And I said I was a small child, and I remember these screens, computer screens, like TVs, and there was a glass, there was this screen, and what I had to do was, it was like psychometry and things like that, and what comes next. I had to telepathically tell them before a future event, all this testing. And I said, okay, you know, I was about 9, I think, at the time. And I'm from London. I was living in London at the time. And but then some being, I thought it was a spirit. That's what I thought, because I didn't know, didn't have ET or dimensional beings in my consciousness as a small child. I just thought everything was dead people. Said, fail the test. And I trusted these energies, and I went, okay. And so I remember getting it wrong on purpose. I knew, anyway, so I was sharing this on my show with Mary Rodwell, and she said, that's my lab. I went, what? What? And I went, And funny thing was, I did some research. Well, it didn't do any research. Synchronistically, out of the blue, I heard other people talking, same age as me, in that area of London. Yeah, same year, everything, all talking about government involvement, and they're sure something happened. So I don't know, but I'm saying I totally agree with you. I mean, they seem to be able to detect all experiences. Well, I know they can in the UK, all experiences, all. And when it's common for me that if now their contact modality now is so different, those that watch can know when they're coming through the dimension by the magnetic field. They've got the scientific equipment, whatever they need, to detect when they're coming now. Yeah. And you always know, because whenever something's around me, there's bloody helicopters, jets, always something somewhere. And what I love about this is because I see them go bing, bing, in, out, and they can't see where they're gone. So that contact modality's changed. So I'm in total agreement with you. I'm in total agreement with that one. I don't. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, you know. But
it is very interesting. You know, we talk about experiencers having implants, and I think that's one of the ways that they can be tracked, and not only by the non-human intelligences, but also our government. You know, Dr. Roger Lear did a lot of work in that area.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I talk about him in the book as well, and what he found with these implants, and it's phenomenal what he the analysis of these implants. And
I mean, many have got them removed. I mean, I remember back in the day watching him and listening, because I had, you know, in my younger years, classic signs, and especially I still to this day, my sinuses, I'm telling you. And that's when the experiences were really, it was like every day. It was a constant, you know, going to university, learning, and one after the other. And then I come to the point, you know, people say, well, you could go and get a scan. And I thought, no, I'm from the dimensionals. No, I don't want it removed. It's there for a reason. And even if the so-called, you know, polarity to us, the MyLab consciousness, had put their one in, if I know who I am, it's not going to touch me. Because my consciousness is self-realization, is source. So I had the realization of what nothing can touch me, but I don't fear it. Does that make sense to you? I don't, you know, fear, and I'm not going to go fussing about trying to find some implant in my body, but there's side effects.
We counsel people that they should not mess with the implant if it's not bothering them. If it's bothering them, that's a different story. But if it isn't, because what we found is that oftentimes when it's removed, it's placed back in their body someplace even harder to get to.
And it's a waste. It's there for a reason. I mean, I got to tell you, I know I don't know how they do it. Maybe we're looking at it in a too human concept, but I've moved quite a few times, okay? And each time I've moved, I do that. I say, I've moved. They won't get me here. I've done it all my life. And I'm going around and I think nothing has happened. That's normally, you know, in the illusion. But then all of a sudden, boom, you got me. And it goes every single time. And when I moved to where I am now, 2 years ago, just coming up 2 years, I come here and I was happy as Harry, but I kept noticing I was waking up 3:30 every morning in July. So it's 2 years. And I'm going, and I was full of energy. I was buzzing, you know. I'm going, I have no idea what's going on here. It didn't click. You think after decades of it, you know, it was every single day, week after week. And anyway, it went on for months. And then we got to the Christmas time, I had a full-blown Mahusib in my bedroom. Up here, blue Arcturians with the biggest. And I'm going, oh, you're back. And then black. There you go. And they got me again. So I don't know if they need the tracking advice. Maybe, I don't think it's to track us because we are connected anyway. It's maybe, what do you think? I don't know, by the way. I'm throwing it at you, no pressure. I keep thinking maybe it's like a medical thing to check something. What do you think?
Well, I've heard various theories about what this is all about. And one of them seems to be predominating recently is raising our vibration, our frequency.
That's a medicine.
and that in and of itself, medically, could certainly cause maybe healings or other types of things in the brain activity that would cause us to perhaps vibrate at a different frequency, which is going to be beneficial in the long run, whatever the long run may be.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do remember one experience, and I don't call it paralyzed. I've never used that terminology. They take my consciousness, my being, into a state of neutrality, of peace and calm. So I don't think, oh, I can't move. And all I can do is see. I can telepathically communicate. And I remember there were two of them, and they were really like dimensional beings, these were. They had multiple colors, I don't know. Anyway, and I was talking to them telepathically. I said, what are you doing? And they were doing somewhere in my body. Yeah. And they just said one word that I'd never heard of that all I could recall was oscillating you. We're oscillating you. And next thing I woke, I went, what the fuck does that word mean? So I'm out, Google, it was Theosaurus, actually, Merriam-Webster Theosaurus. What the hell what do they mean oscillate? What are they doing now? And it is oscillating a frequency, raising a frequency.
Yeah.
Wow. So I got that way back with that experience. So I think it's just to make sure the path that we're spiritual journey we're on, my individual one I'm talking about, is that I've got this path, and just to keep an eye on and a bit of support here and there, or if to avoidance of something that may just change my timeline, which is not meant to happen, they'll be there. Maybe that's what it is. It's
yeah, that's the frustrating part about this whole phenomena, is that we have a lot of theories but not a lot of answers.
well, maybe I mean, to me, I don't mind not having answers because I go with the flow.
Mhm.
I'm always looking, as Brandon says, Brandon Thomas. Shout out to Brandon Thomas, Expanding Reality podcast, where I found the lovely Les, is becoming the greater version of myself,
Mhm.
coming into being. And so I don't look for answers anymore. Coming from self-realization, what happens is the more that I use discernment or have a conversation with beautiful people like you, and I listen, and then I use a bit of introspection, I have a knowing. Then a
Mhm.
knowing comes in. So it's not an answer,
Yeah,
knowing that
yeah.
comes in.
I call it a gut feel.
Yeah, same
My
thing.
gut.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's if it feels good for the gut, then I'm going down that path.
Absolutely. It's the same thing. So that's how I go there. I mean, we've gone in some really beautiful areas that you work in. And anyone out there, if you are an experiencer and you really would like to speak to someone confidentially and have some support, Les is the way to go. I do not know of any groups in the UK. I personally do not know of any organizations in the UK because it's not been on my timeline to go and chase them. However, please, the links are in the YouTube below. Please contact Les, and I'm sure you'll be guided in the right direction to get that support, even in the UK. Now, Les, let's move on forward now. OPUS, where you're at now, and you just said you'd just done the omega-3.
Yeah, yeah. We actually the first phase of the omega-4 study, which is what we did, was to go out to therapists that are working with people that claim that they've had contact with non-human intelligences, and we'll be posting that on our website here shortly. We hope to publish this data in a peer-reviewed journal in the very near future. And the bottom line on all of this is that people, when they first are looking for assistance, and when I say therapists, there's a whole broad range of people that we contacted. We contacted hypnotherapists.
Yeah.
Okay. We contacted psychiatrists, psychologists, people like that. But the first thing that people are looking for is someone to reduce the stress that they're having. That's number one. Number two, they're looking for an empathetic ear, someone to listen to them without judgment. And so those are the two main factors that people deal with. And one of the things that came out of this study, which was interesting, is that most of the people deal with grays. Okay, those little fun fellows. And the second thing that came out of it was orbs. That people are dealing with orbs. And then the third thing is interdimensionals, and then ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can see right away that all of these types of things are interconnected in some way.
To me, it is interconnected, all under the same umbrella. I've experienced all of the above, only because I'm slightly mature in the physical. Can I ask you something? I ask anyone that has any knowledge on this. I had an elder brother, William, who's passed, God bless him. And anyway, remember, when I was a young girl, 21, obviously I saw dead people. They don't like to be called dead, but they know why I use it. I saw dead people. So I was fine talking to the dead, the graveyard. No issue. things like that. I knew when someone was going to die. It was normal,
Mhm.
I'd never heard of extraterrestrials. It wasn't in my remit. Well, anyway, I went to see my brother one day, and he's going, sis, these beings that are coming in, and they're teaching me sciences and this, and he was talking like neurophysics, and I'm looking up to my brother, thinking, you're schizophrenic, you're mental, there's something wrong. And there's me talking to dead people. Hello. Anyway, he got diagnosed with schizophrenia. Well, I'd forgotten when I was a teenager, because I was going around talking about these dead people, and some spirits come through walls that have big black eyes. I didn't know. I was taken to a psychiatrist and told I had schizophrenia as well, my brother. And then I was diagnosed and put on extremely strong antipsychotic drugs.
Oh God!
Which I stopped because they made me loopy. Has psychiatry changed? Please, God save.
Well, this is the big problem that we have. This is a huge problem that the medical community, the mental health community, it needs to be educated in a bigger, more substantial way. That and Dr. John Mack, came out with his book Abduction and almost lost his job at Harvard University.
Brilliant.
Basically, said that these people do not have a psychopathology, that something is going on, and the question is, what is it? And I think it's very unfortunate that this is what happens to a lot of people having experiences, that they do choose to go to a mental health practitioner and first, and they find out, number one, are they psychotic, or do they have a mental psychopathology, or they find out that they're not, that they don't have a psychopathology. Then what? Where do you go then?
There's no win. It's a case, in my case and my brother's case, but in my case, I was under the care of my mother, who was, her role she played was a psychopathic child torturer. How about that one? And she was a learning curve. And she took me because I kept talking about dead people. And dead people, big black eyes and times and what was happening. And my brother, because of what he was experiencing, he started turning to and couldn't get no help. I mean, back in the day, there was zilch. You were locked up in a loony bin, an asylum. And he started to act out because people were saying, schizophrenic. And then I think one day the police got hold of him, and that was his first session in the loony bin, so to speak. And they just knew him as a crazy person. And because he was told his experience was a lie, and he also had the trauma of what I went through with the psychopathic torturing mother, playing her brilliant role, but he obviously knows now on the other side it was a game. He turned to drugs. And back in the day, then it was glue sniffing and all that, until it killed him at 43.
That's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, but what I'm saying is how I look at it, it's the role he chose to play, and it's an example that I can give to show how far we are shifting our consciousness and becoming more empathic and trying to access the mental health people. I mean, now, I have a son, and my son tells everyone he's got it tattooed on his hand, ADHD. He's so spiritual and out there with the beings, you wouldn't believe it. But he has mental health, and he quite freely talks about his experiences. I mean, they do label him, but he's not sectioned because of it.
No, it's unfortunate, and that's one of the things that we're in the process of doing more of. And this is what this first phase of the omega-4 study is to then send this out to other therapists, mental health practitioners, to enlighten them as to this phenomena. And then the second phase is that we're actually going out to the clients of these therapists to get their reaction to a rather extensive questionnaire, about 200 questions.
Yeah.
And we're trying to dig deeper and deeper into this phenomena. And there's now a group that's I'm just getting started, called the UAP Medical Coalition, that is looking at this phenomena from a medical standpoint. So hopefully, these are the types of groups that are starting to come along to get the word out that, hey, these people are experiencing something. They don't have a psychopathology.
No.
They are telling the truth as they understand the truth, and that we need to take them seriously. So I think that
I think what you're doing I think it's magnificent. I mean, as I said, my son, they diagnosed him with ADHD, but I mean, it's my son, I know him. He was having experiences when he was little, and he's just different. His perception is different, and I'm aware of his perception because I'm an experiencer myself. Sure. And these young people, do you know how many millions I don't know about in America, but in the UK, because these children were coming in, it's the late 90s, 98, 90s, early 2000s. Nearly all the children born in this era have all been diagnosed with ADHD. And they, however, if they were able to, all the millions, I can only speak of UK. So all the millions in the UK that are experiencers, are you telling me that all the millions in the UK that are experiencers have all got schizophrenia or ADHD? Come on. Now you can see the gist of it. So go on.
Yeah, I think this phenomena is not unique in a sense that it's happening to everyone, whether they remember it or not.
Well, yeah.
I think that everyone on the planet has
everyone on the planet is part of it. I mean, I did say to Brandon, though, when he come on my show the other week, I said, something's telling me there aren't 8 billion human beings on the planet. He said, you in America, you call it something else. I call them prototypes or stand-ins. They're not quite right. I don't think there's 8 billion. I think there's less of us coming in to experience this experience. But who knows? Who knows what's going on? I mean, that's the joy of this experience. It's the not knowing that anything and all potentiality is possible. And I'm going to bring back in, because it's just come in now, I need to ask you a question. And it's personal to me, guys. I've heard many people, experiencers, talk about this. And it's the one thing, I don't know if I've got the knowing correct. Now, way back in the day when it was all coming in, I was shown potential timelines. And when I was shown these timelines, they were not good. They were catastrophic, dark, and this was the possibility of humanity, okay? Then over the recent part of this mature life, they don't happen. They haven't been happening no more. So what feedback have you got from other contactees that have had this, were shown possible timelines of what could occur?
Yeah, we've actually talked about that recently. I monitor the support group daily, and there was a period of time where there was a lot of discussion going on about tragedies, significant events occurring that would be quite negative. Whether it was tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it. The one that's interesting, and it's has quite a bit of synchronicity to it. I was going through some of my news feeds, and there was one in there about a woman, a clairvoyant, a Bulgarian clairvoyant by the name of Baba Yanga. she passed away in 1996, but before that, she had predicted a number of things. One of them was the World Trade Center incident. But she also said that in 2027, that a large asteroid would hit the Earth, and it would be guided here by aliens. And so I had sent that information over to Linda Howe because she had asked me about whether or not the support group. But by the way, Linda Howe is one of the advisory members of our board. And I sent her this article, and then she sent me something back that there was a conference in Japan that NASA attended, and that they showed this PowerPoint presentation about the fact that an asteroid would hit the Earth in 2027, and that this was only an exercise, only something that they were just confabulating, supposedly.
I'm with you.
And so now you start to wonder, does NASA know something that they don't want to tell people? Or is Baba Yanga totally off base?
Well,
her clairvoyance, she picked other incidents that occurred.
You know, being a medium, and you don't have to be a medium, many people get it, but being a medium, we do get precognitions. I mean, younger years, they were rampant, even when death was going to occur, where, how, when, and why. Murders, in my case. However, in all of where I was shown potential timelines, I was in it. And it was after the event, but I was still there, observing.
Yeah.
There was no fear. There was absolutely no fear at all.
Right.
I mean, if you want a scary timeline, listen to this one. I mean, for me at the moment, it would be scary. And it was this 10 years ago. And on this one, I was on the craft. I was on this organic craft. And they showed me all the mobile phones out. That's a scary one, isn't it? So you're talking about the whole of the Wi-Fi system, connectivity out. To me, that's more scary.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it would be the best thing that could possibly happen.
But I've still got this, I believe it to be my truth, that we each choose the timeline we choose to experience. We're talking about law of attraction. So for me, I've never honed in on I've always known the potentiality of all possibilities, of all timelines, in all creation. I choose my experience. What I put out comes back. So I'm aware of a possibility, but I don't put my attention on it, if you know what I mean. I don't put my attention on it. I'm on my attention goes elsewhere. So I just thought I'd ask you because, you know, I don't know, but we all seem to have these. We all have these.
Well, you know, I often wonder, you know, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, you know, what I, you know, keep thinking about is that day that when I was 11 years old, I saw this object and that kind of planted a seed. But every time, you know, I decide that, well, I think I've had enough. I'm going to, you know, go plant tomatoes or something, which I do, by the way. You know, I get pulled back into it. So it's like, this is my mission. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
What you just said, you get pulled back into it. I was in April. I decided I was leaving this mainland. I was going off to a beautiful place. I'd been there a few times. I just spent nearly a month the last time. And it was all done. I was going, the sea, everything, like sort of retire from my experiences. Everything was in place. This was in April. And I come back, I was brought back to finalize the move and my new beginnings. you know, I thought, well, I might do a few shows, you know, but I was really, no, I'm just gonna spiritualize myself on the beach, become a Buddha, you know, sort of, because I fucking had enough. All right, this is what was going on. Anyway, that was come back. Everything, all the houses was packed up in boxes still because I packed before, and I had contact. And I woke, and all I recall is the craft. And I know it's the atmosphere, so I know when it's contact. There's a certain atmosphere. I can't explain the atmosphere, but it's not like this atmosphere. Anyway, and I saw the craft go. So I knew something had happened. And I just went, oh, they're back. Yeah, that's all. Then all of a sudden, I changed. The passion had gone to move. Medical conditions hit me, life-threatening. So I couldn't move.
Right.
Everything. And I actually felt like I died and come back. I was on a different timeline. I was stuck in my tracks. Long story short, all of a sudden I'm knocking out all these shows, all these new guests, different perceptions. Oh, this does not stop. So I couldn't. You may want to go off and retire and plant tomatoes. I wanted to be a guru on the beach. I heard about these gurus on the beach.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know.
And knowing I was guided to where I was getting sidetracked. So somewhere the ego, you know, which is my friend, it wanted to go and have human pleasure. And it's like, okay.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
So I've got pleasure here. I'm doing what I love, and I'm in my heaven, I'm in my joy, I'm in my excitement. And the type of guests coming on are so different, like yourself. And I know it's to do with contact base. I know. I've experienced them here when I've gone out. They've been above my house. I mean, they're up in the contact modality. And the communications are as clear and knowing as they've ever been. Like, okay, someone's made the right decision. Because
I you know, I often wonder about why I'm here now, and not in some third world country starving and not having enough food to eat, or having diseases rampant. Why am I doing what I'm doing now, here and now? I mean, that to me is a interesting question.
I mean, I mean, we've all got our own truths, but coming from, you know, the juxtaposition, consciousness or multidimensional energy personality, I come here to have a human experience. I have a knowing I'm here for this time. I know that. And the more that knowing expands, the consciousness expands, the 3D polarity starts to dissipate. I can still be an arsehole. I keep saying it. There's no issue there. But I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. You're doing what you're fragment of me and I of you. And we're all doing it. We're coming together now. For me, the game, the theater is over. It's like I give an analogy of the chess game. There's 7 moves left. There's a checkmate. Both players know the game is over, but they still can move a few bits. But the audience is watching, going, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" Da, da, da. But it's over. Project Glass. It's done. It's finished. Because what experiences are, well, in my timeline anyway, it's not, can you time travel? Can you change another timeline? Can you communicate with yourself on another timeline? All of the above and above. In my timeline, I don't need disclosure. I am disclosure. I'm witnessing it. I'm getting witnesses with me, witnessing them in human form, I don't want to say that word, energy personalities in the mode of humans. but their clothes are so outdated, it's unbelievable. Doing things that break the Newtonian law. So, and it's not just me, there's loads of us out there. So, you know, for me, it's all good. You're here because this is what you agreed to do. You came in to do this.
Yeah, I'm super grateful actually to be where I am.
I'm really grateful. I'm super grateful that you are here because you are doing, and your comrades in OPUS, what you're doing, you're not only helping the human being, you know, the idea they have about themselves that are not switched on quite yet as who they are. You're a vital, crucial point, as we all are, to the collective, to the one, to whatever is coming. We are going to go there. I am going to ask that question.
Well, matter of fact, I was going to ask you that question. I said, with all the craziness that's going on in this world, what in the hell is Putin going to do next, or are we going into World War III with this nutcase?
It won't. To me, I don't put my attention on it. It's not in my timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It literally, I'm aware of it, but it, you know, like people say, how can you do that? I'll give you an example. I don't watch TV. I don't read the papers. I'm not interested. You know, like, say, for example, I'll give an analogy, one of my analogies. You know, like if you went out to a pub or a club or a restaurant and the opposite sex is really interested in you, flirting with you, fancies you. And if you don't resonate with them, you just know. But then the one over there that does resonate with you, you're like, hi, do you want a drink? Do you want to dance? Do you see what I'm saying? So the one that you don't resonate with, when all these things come up, I know it's a theatre. I mean, I'm schooled from the Seth material and Alan Watts and all that. I know what it is. And I know I've had my experience in the past where I was locked into this so-called matrix and really believed I was this limited identity and I had schizophrenia and I shouldn't tell people that there's dead people because they're really, you know. So I don't put I'm not flirting with it. It's flirting with me, but I'm not flirting back. I'm not doing it. So it doesn't even concern me. What concerns me is this timeline I'm on. How could I be concerned with Putin or Biden, whatever you call him, or the thing that we have in this country, whatever his name is, when I'm experiencing experiences that are, you know, I mean, some people go on drugs to get these experiences. Why would I want to go over there? I'm just carrying on where I'm supposed to be carrying on. I don't worry about it. I don't.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I shouldn't use the word term worry. I don't really worry about it. That's for sure. I keep doing what I'm doing, and within this whole context of trying to help people and do that thing, and you know, have a comfortable life, which I do. You know, very thankful for that. And there are times in my life and my career that you know, I have to scratch my head, and I did a lot of that because there's no more hair up there.
You can tell I never mine. I feel like Rapunzel. I'm telling you, it's just growing. Yeah, but you know, so many have said to me, "Oh, I read the news, and they said there's a meteorite coming." And I said, "Well, if it means I go home a bit quicker, I'm happy to do that." Boom! I'm out of here. Tell you, I come in for one time. This is it. I'm only here the one time. This is it. And when it's time to go, and they're always saying, "Be patient." Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. You got.
Well, let me ask you a question, because that kind of brings up the thing about reincarnation.
Yeah.
So if this is one time, then do you not believe in reincarnation, or do you believe in it?
Okay. But coming from my truth, which is self-realization, yeah, from the juxtaposition, I consciousness, and playing the role of the identity Gloria. I understand where the terminology from my truth, where reincarnation comes, but I My truth is, I am in all places, all time, all timelines now. So yes, I've actually experienced me, the physical, really me on another timeline. She was more shocked to see me than I was to see her. So yes, you can call it, it's not physical. And even ET and dimensional beings will teach you this. There is no time-space continuum. Different timelines or different dimensions, different veils. We're fractalized out as the whole, experiencing all different experiences. Hence why I love my show, because every time someone comes on my show like myself, I just say, I know you're one of the gods, small g. I know you're one of the gods, and you're in your journey. What's it been like for you? And you're coming into self-realization. So I'm on all other timelines. So no doubt I've been an arsehole somewhere else. You know, that's why I don't go in for regression, because I have no need to. Because when I'm meant to know something, I will know it. And recently, since the contact modalities changed, I'm going to give you an example. When I was a child in this timeline, I used to play the piano by ear. Musical. I could never read music, but flute, anything, record by ear. And I always wanted a violin. And then later on in life, I got a violin. And I don't know what happened to it. I ended up getting married and having 6 children and all that. And then I yearned for another violin. And I've always had this yearning for a violin. And then in the last few months, in England, we have a thing called a boot sale. Like you have in America, a garage sale. Everyone goes to a big field with their cars, open up their boots and sells all the stuff that they don't want. And I kept seeing a violin, and my heart, it was I've always played, but this time stronger. And then the following week, and I said to my friend, we come back, I said, oh, I really want a violin. And I know I want a violin, and it's going to come. Something like that was going on. And then I had a realization, and I started to laugh. I'm in another timeline, another fractal of me is a violinist. And I've started to connect, like you do with the dimensional ETs.
Yeah.
They do. Anyway, she turned up one day with this violin. My family's Irish, and it's green. And it was from an Irish family to an Irish. And I got the violin. I could not, it was a knowing. So everything we need to know, you also go within. And why you go within is because you know everything. You are what you call the Akashic records. This is what I teach in self-realization. And what it is, you're playing the role in another timeline. Or you can say a past life. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, little things like that don't bother me. I don't resist. So, but this timeline that me and you're on now, this is it. End game. This is, you can call it what you want. All the others are still going. Every time you shift off one timeline, that timeline's still going. So say, for example, I don't know, I decided to still be an arsehole for a bit longer. I could be a mass murderer. I don't know. I could be what my mother was on another timeline. She was a psychopathic child torturer. She played her role so well, I believed her. She was a great God. I really believed her. I'm not minimizing this in any way. That is self-realization. These beings, they are self-realized. They don't have the identities we have. They will appear whatever way we can cope with, but they're all telepathic. There's no ego. There's no secrets. There's no I'm better than you. There's no you're different to me. There's no it's no polarity at all. But they're still having the experience of the energy personality that they are. Sorry, I went on forever there. I do apologize.
No, that's good. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate the different perspectives that that come my way. So I'm very thankful.
I know. I mean, I just realised you flipped the show and you're now interviewing me. You've been doing it. You got me
So
there.
clever of me.
You're clever. You got me. You flipped the show. But no, I understand your interest because I love listening to other experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, one of the analogies I use is in the groups is I have an orange, I cut it in half. So I'm going to give you, Les, half an orange. I got half an orange. We're both experiencing eating an orange. However, we are both going to experience it totally different. I use this analogy a lot because that's why I love listening to other experiences, because they've experienced their consciousness, which is part of mine, has experienced it. Not on other timelines. In this timeline with me, this is the magic of this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
You can go past lives or other timelines, doesn't matter, but where you have to recall, no, you're in this timeline experiencing it as Les, as Gloria, as Brandon Thomas, expanding. That's the fun in it. And when you start to recognize that, all fears drop away. You're still an arsehole. You still moan. I still do, I can't hear because my ears are blocked and I'm going blind. And you still do all that, but you're playing the role of it. So, and I love to hear, it so enriches me when another experiencer shares their experience and what it meant to them, how it expanded their consciousness. And to end the show, I'd really like to go into that, if you're happy to do so.
Sure.
What have you found that I found that through each experience and the other experiences I speak to, it's expanded their consciousness, or we could call their spiritual path, and it's broadened it, or whatever terminology you want to use.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, that it is a spiritual journey that these people are having, that causes them to have a totally different worldview, and a very positive worldview in many cases, like 70 to 80% have very positive outcomes. And so, to me, there's all kinds of theories about the fact, well, these people are being sold a bill of goods, just so that these entities can have their way in some way, shape, or form. But how can you? I have a hard time with that, simply because of the fact that what they're telling them, the outcome, is very positive. I mean, to be better stewards of the planet, to be better to one another. These are all wonderful things that, if you believe in religion, that God supposedly tells people, hey, come on, let's be good people here. Let's not kill people. Let's, let's be, a lot of really positive things.
I mean, there are other things. Some people don't want to admit it, but I'm open. I have no secrets. I found eventually, when it finally got me to the self-realization, I mean, it was paranormal, it was spirits, it was dimensional, it was all of the above. And I remember, people talk about a Kundalini experience.
Yeah.
It was similar to that, but mine wasn't root chakra up. Mine was top down. And mine was, I've never felt this energy in my body, and I've never felt, I mean, at the beginning, it was quite fearful at first. I was crying, and it was coming down and it was hitting the belief system. So I was having what you call abduction, night after night after night. So it all was in that same part. And as it was going down, someone was talking, allow it. And I've never felt, it was like I'd been electrocuted unbelievably. My whole body was shaking, but then it come in, let that go. And I was letting belief systems go in but it was top down. It was top down, and it was coming down, and it got to my heart. And then they said, the idea you have about yourself let it go. And I'm crying. I'm actually observing myself, the being cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, right on the heart, they said, the idea you have about God, this God you love, this God you created. And I loved that God, by the way, I'll have you know. I loved that image of God that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Let that go. And I was going, no, no, no. I'm fighting on this experience. It was this. The only thing I ever loved in my life was this unconditional God, not the God of the Bible or any religion.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was a God. And they said, allow it, let it go. Let it go, let it go. And I let it go. I said, vroom, I released it. Boom, 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 boom. Then it started. From that,
Wow.
then for me, the idea I had about myself started to deconstruct. The idea I had about this God
Mm-hmm.
there started, it just dissipated. And then I attracted the lights of Alan Watts, the Seth material, all from the self. So that's how I sort of come through on that. But it wasn't a pleasant journey at times.
No.
I ate so many humble pies, and I still eat humble pie, not so many to this day. So I always say, this is my truth, Les, but it could change tomorrow.
Sure.
More I expand. It's only the truth in the now that I'm in now. So it's a bloody exciting journey.
That's wonderful. I mean, you know, to have that experience and to have that connection. I have not experienced that, but I guess I'm experiencing it in different ways.
You would have. I mean, when, you know, in the groups that I teach, you know, in the beginning, many come in and go, I have never experienced ET or dimensional. I experienced spirit. They go, okay. And we start there. Let me tell you, for my truth, this is my truth in the now. Every real human being on this planet, not the robots, has experienced it. And remember, and this is how I put it forward, I never knew I experienced contact, or the word you use, abduction, till 1987, when I saw Whitley Strieber's book, Union, and I saw that face, and I died. I just want you to know, I was blaspheming, I was cussing, I was in the biggest fear, but I never knew I experienced contact, Les. I thought it was all spirit world, paranormal.
Yeah. That Whitley's book was just an amazing revelation for so many people.
Can you see
it just woke everything up.
It does. It did, and it's still doing it. But you said you haven't had the experience. I said you have. You just haven't recalled it yet. Because as I said, you know, not until that time, I thought my brother was crazy for telling me about his contact. I said, well, I haven't experienced that, so can't be true. I haven't got it, but I'm talking to them and I didn't know it. So please don't say you haven't. You have.
Yeah.
Every
well, yeah.
has contact.
Going back to one of my earlier statements that I said, I believe everybody has had an experience in the planet has had an experience, but they don't remember it. Or maybe it's not the right time for them to remember.
It will be exactly the right time. And you know what? I've learned with my maturity. That's why I don't do regression. I don't worry about what goes on in the experiences, because it will come out, and synchronistically in my timeline, I'll be doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. When I get a bit, you know, like go off on the wrong timeline, like 3 months ago, I was stopped. They really made me. I mean, they didn't made me. My whole body shut down. Yeah. And I'm just coming over it now. And they will step in. They will step in. Hey, you're off track. You know, they come and do a visitation. Because I got a bit carried away. You know, right, you've had your holiday. You've been on the beach. You've done your bit. get back. You're here to do a job. I was going, oh, I just want to go. And I'm playing the human, and why not? But that in itself, that experience in itself has allowed me to mature and grow and expand in becoming who I am. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
It wasn't a negative. It's a very, very positive. I mean, and so I would say, Les, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You're not the Walking Dead. Them I have concerns about. They walk
Not yet.
have you seen them? I don't know if they're really human. They walk about and they're like they're dead. You're not. Look what you're doing for. Let's use Homo sapiens sapien 3D words. Look what you're doing and your partners for humanity. Look where you've gone. Look how you have taken every contact modality, the support groups. You're there. Where before and back in my day, there was jack shit, diagnosed or locked up in a loony bin. I mean, you know, you can't tell. You definitely had contact. And I'll tell you one more thing. In the group where I run for experiencers, I'm not saying it just for you. I tell them all. And they say, well, I haven't had contact and this is that, but I saw a UFO. And I go, stop. Hold on. Right. So you saw, and I start working with them because I'm a medium. I can go in.
Mm-hmm.
I start working with them and I say, so you were looking at this light in the sky? And they go, yeah. And I couldn't take my eyes off it. And then I ask, it depends on the individual. And so this is an example. And I say, go back to it. Do you remember? And I get them back to it and they go, yeah. I said, did you sort of have an awareness? They were aware that you were looking? And they go, well, actually, yeah. There's contact. You're done. You don't need to remember what's happened. It's done. And that's first contact. Sometimes you've had that first contact. You wouldn't have been allowed to see it if it wasn't meant to be that way. So definitely.
It's interesting, isn't it? Oh my God. Yeah.
We can go down multiple rabbit holes. Anyway, we have chatted. It's been fantastic. I could chat. Would you come back in the future and chat again?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to.
Oh, I'd love it. We have gone an hour and a half. Can you believe it? We've gone.
Wow.
It's fascinating. I do hope I've been able to drag out of you all about OPUS because it's fantastic, Les, what you're doing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, if you haven't, all you have to do, or your listeners, all they have to do is go to our website at opusnetwork.org and they'll get the full picture.
Love it. Thank you, Les, so much for coming on to the show. I look forward to bringing you back on. Maybe when you get some more information, data comes through or anything new, then please share it. I think I've joined your group today on Facebook.
Oh, great.
I joined it under Open Minds. I finally had, you know what it's like when you run these shows, you're so busy and everyone's sending you stuff. But I looked for it and I got it and I joined your OPUS.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I've joined it on Facebook today. So I've done my bit. I do suggest you find him on Facebook as well. If you don't want to go all off websites, some of us don't. I'm not really a website person. I tend to go to the Facebook groups. And what they've got there. And if I have to, I will then go on a website. So I found the group and I recommend to everybody you find, what is the group called again on Facebook? OPUS?
opusnetwork.org.
That's it. And you'll catch Les there and the team. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today.
Oh, and one more thing. Do you have your book at hand to show the cover of your book?
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go. The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact with the foreword by Linda Howe.
There you go, guys. Is that on Amazon?
Oh, yes, it is.
Amazon.
Yes,
you know where to go. Well, okay, everybody. For the ones that watch live or the ones that are going to watch on the replay, because we're different time zones, America, UK, and everywhere else. I'm Gloria. This is Open Minds live chat show. Until the next time, thank you for watching. Bye.